Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. It's Audrey and this is day 2 of the Summer Scrapping Series. So thanks for joining me today. My special contributing guest today is Sarah Scrap. She has an awesome YouTube channel full of tons of scrapbooking inspiration, so be sure to go check it out in the link in the description below. So my goal today was, I had a couple goals. I wanted to use some stuff from my summer stash. So I'm using an old piece of paper here from crepe paper for the background. The second thing is I was just going to go for it. I oftentimes overthink my layouts a lot and I think about exactly what I'm going to do before I sit down and do it. And this one I kind of just was like, I'm just going to do stuff and not think about it, which, you know, it starts off well, but then I get kind of caught up in it. And well, eventually you'll see what happens. Anyway, and I also wanted to really focus on my photo. I love this photo, which I haven't even shown you yet, but it's of my kids playing on the dock, which I'll tell you about in a little bit. So I have grabbed this piece of paper. I picked this craft color because I kind of picked up the wood, some of the wood in my photo. I applied some gesso to the background with a spatula, and I did that to give it texture, but also to provide a place for some media here. And I'm going to go through with a whole bunch of blue mists and gelatos and ink. I first tried there with kind of a minty colored gelato, and it wasn't giving me the coverage that I wanted on the craft. I think the craft background was a little bit too dark for that gelato. Even with the gesso on there, it wasn't showing up as well. So I went and added some Heidi Swapp Color Shine and Teal and Seafoam, which are kind of my go-to colors when I do anything with blue. So then I decided I wanted a contrasting color and a little pop of something, and I was debating between like a yellow or a pinkish color, and I decided to go ahead and go with well, a more pink tone, but a purple. So I'm using this purple Distress Oxide ink, and I have just you know, stamped it on some clear packaging there, and then I'm using a paintbrush, and I'm mixing it with a little bit of the blue of the teal color shine, because it makes it a much more deeper purple, more of a plum, I guess, than the brighter raspberry color. So you can see over on the left, I put a little bit of purple there, but I didn't put any gesso there, and it looks completely different from the purple that's over the gesso. The purple that I have put over the gesso looks more purple, and the one that's on the left little edge of the page there looks a little, I don't know, more brown. So that's bothering me a little bit, but I'll come back to that. I decided to use this stencil. This is one of my all-time favorite stencils. I've had this stencil forever, and I liked the shape of it because in this picture my kids are in a kayak, and the shape reminded me of little kayaks. So I'm going through with some Distress Oxide here, and I thought I was going light with this. And it's so funny because you think you're going light with this, and then you pull up the stencil and you're like, whoa, I did a little too much color there. But the thing I like about these Distress Oxide inks is when you add water, which is what I did right there with my green spray bottle, and then you dab it off, it really brings down the color, the tone of the color a lot. So, you know, you could do this a little bit and get, you know, a subtle water drop effect, but I kind of loaded on the water there kind of to bring down the brightness. So there is my photo. And you can see there, it's a picture of my kiddos, and they are using the kayak on the dock because last year in the Thousand Islands, the water level was about 3 feet. It was very, very, very high. It was 3 feet above the dock. Normally it's about 1.5 feet below the dock. So the water level in the St. Lawrence was super high last year. And we never really got to jump off the dock, and the kids used to love to do that. So they figured out something else to do, and they decided just to play with a kayak on the dock. So it was pretty fun to watch them do that. So I am layering some papers behind my photo. I have some yellows and some aquas. I tried a little bit of pink. I didn't like the pink. It was kind of, well, it was more reddish, a light red, which I guess is pink, but but it wasn't a pastel-y pink, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I stayed away from the pink, and I really like the way the yellow looks, and I just picked a whole bunch of different blue and aqua papers here, and I'm layering behind that. And I purposely made this photo kind of tall and skinny because I kind of wanted that look. of the page. So have a big area that was a tall, skinny photo focus with some pattern papers behind it. So I dug through my stash, and like I said, one of the goals, well, this whole summer scrapping series, one of my goals is going to be to really use my summer stash. I went through some little bits and pieces. I'm pretty sure these are from crepe paper collections, either, I think it's the Pier, maybe Poolside. And I keep all my summer kind of theme stuff separate so that I can just, dig right into it when I do this series. So it's pretty easy for me, but I have so much of it that it does take me a while to go through to find exactly what I'm looking for. But yeah, the first things I'm going to start going to are the things that I have, maybe just a couple embellishments left or a few stickers and not too many papers, and try to get rid of a lot of those supplies so that I can get new stuff, because, who doesn't like to get new stuff? So I layered these little tags, the bottom that say fun, and those are from crepe paper. And I put the little sticker above it that says summer, but again, the yellow, I ended up taking that sticker off. I thought I liked the yellow, but the yellow, it was overpowering from the photo. And I really don't like overlapping a lot of things on my photo. When I put things on my photos, like stickers, I only like to put them maybe on 2 sides, possibly 3 to create, depending on the size of the photo. But I don't like to overlap a lot of stuff on my photo because I want to be able to see the photo. And I think sometimes it throws the balance off and takes your eye away from the photo. So this is what I'm spending, 20 minutes doing here, is how much I want to overlap the photo with these little things. So yeah, I get really picky about that kind of stuff. I found, instead of that yellow tag that said summer, I found this gold one that came from a crepe paper sticker sheet. I'm pretty sure that one may have been Poolside. And then there's a little like kind of craft chipboard piece there underneath the anchor on the left. It says Pier Rides, and that came from the crepe paper pier collection, but I thought it was kind of appropriate because, they're not really on a pier, but, kind of get the idea of a long dock, and my daughter is giving my son a ride in the kayak. So I am getting rid of that edge that's bothering me so much, and this was just one of those things, like, I just went for it and did it, and I didn't think. And I'm lucky that it turned out okay, because it could have been a disaster, me totally ripping that piece of edge off, but I'm going to make it work. So I'm layering it over a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to do something with this edge here. And I really do love the look of torn edges, especially for some reason, like summary photos or with a craft paper like this that has a white core. I don't know if it reminds me of like the edges of waves, or the edges of, where waves meet the sand on the beach or something, but it's something about a torn edge just says summer scrapbook page to me. But I found these little, I guess they're paddle boards or surfboards. They came from a Pink Paisley collection, which I can't remember the name of it. It's summer something. Maybe it's Summer Nights or something. It has a lot of purples and pinks in it, and one of them was a chipboard and 2 were die cuts, I think. I hadn't planned on bringing kind of that orangey color in, but I did have some of the purple already in the background from my inking, so I thought the purple kind of went. And I liked those clustered there. And I also, sometimes I design myself out of a journaling spot, like I get so focused on my page design that I forget to think about how much journaling I have to put on the page and where I'm going to put it. So I made sure to make a journaling spot here that was big enough for what I was going to write. So I just punched out a circle from a piece of scrap paper that was in one of these collections here, and I put that underneath the torn edge at the side. And because I had the purple on the little surfboard paddle boards there, I needed a little bit more purple over on the right side of the page, I felt. So I took another piece of pattern paper from the 6x6 pad and stuck it over there. That purple heart ends up coming off because, again, it was covering up the photo there, and it bothered me that I had so many areas of the photo covered up, so I will take it down. I tried adding these little purple waves in. Those came from, I think those came from a little piece in the 6x6 pad as well. And I can't remember if I even leave those in or if I take them out, but they're kind of cute. Go with the photo. So what else am I doing here? Oh, looking for another little purple bit to kind of create my visual triangle. So I grab a purple tag to put my date on, which when you look at my final page, I realize, and I do this all the time, I forgot to stamp the date on it. So I have got to go back and remember to do that. I felt like I needed something else over in that white area where the cardstock was. So I took this piece of it's vellum with like these gold plus signs on them, and I just tore a little strip off and stuck that underneath the torn edge of the craft paper there, and I really like how that looks. And now it is time to glue all this business down. So I'm going to start, I took my photo off because I knew I was going to pop it up with foam, just some craft foam. And so I take these layers and I'm going to glue those together. And I like to distress the edges of my layers, but I decided, I don't know what I'm doing actually, I decided to glue them first, and then I tried to go back and distress them. That was kind of a wreck. So you'll see here I bring out my distressor. And I had to end up stapling some of the layers together because the glue was still a little bit wet and wasn't completely dry yet, and the papers were sliding around a little bit. So I'm going to glue this piece of pattern paper onto the white cardstock and then glue this little strip underneath, and it kind of got stuck there, and I had to kind of play with it so that you didn't see the end, so that it looked like it was all tucked underneath, but you know, still had the torn edges shown. So here I am trying to distress the edges of these different pattern paper layers, and at one point I just kind of give up and I use my fingers, and then I didn't distress all the edges, and whatever. It is what it is. I mean, you don't even really notice a lot of the distressing on the edges anyway, when you're looking at the layout from far away. When you look at it close up, you can see it more. So I mentioned that a couple of the goals here for the page were to use my stash and to kind of scrap without overthinking it. One of the other things I wanted to do this time around was use a lot more decorative stitches on my pages on my sewing machine, and I knew I had a lot of these ones that looked like waves. So I went to my sewing machine and I selected this wavy stitch, and I love how it looks on the page. So I did a whole bunch of little wave stitches on my sewing machine, and it just gives it a lot of nice texture and kind of goes with the theme. So now I'm just going to go back and start popping some of these things up off the page with some foam squares and glue everything else down. I know this is a super long process video, and I knew I said I was going to try not to overthink it, but I still think I overthunk it because it just took me so long. Anyway, hopefully the next one will go much faster and that I can get more done in a shorter amount of time. So I'm sorry if this feels like this video has drawn on and on. I did add a little gold heart at the top by the label to kind of complete a visual triangle of gold, because I have the gold pluses on the left. I have under the word fun, the little fun banner tags under the photo, they have gold glitter behind them, so I added the little gold glitter heart on the top. I added some more sprinkles of mist and some flair, a little bit more stitching, my journaling, and that is about it. So there is the finished page. And you can see the little stitching I added there. I moved a couple little bits around, but not too much. The glitter there and the fun tag and the stitching. I love, love, love those wave stitches. That might be my favorite thing about this page. I also really like that little tag that says, "Let's Ride into the Sun." I thought it was perfect, and I'm using that as the title for my page. So that's it today. There's my missing date. Thanks for stopping by, watching day 2. Stay tuned for day 3. Be sure to go check out Sarah's channel below, and stay scrappy, friends. I'll see you soon.